Here come the boys. Y'all ready to go swimming, baby? Come on. Give it up. Get out of that water. I tried telling y'all, it's swim lessons, baby.
Hunter Berg, thank you very much for doing this today.
Well, I'm glad you called and reached out. This is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And we're on the beautiful campus at Williston State here. It's many memories in the well. This is a great place.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of home. You know,
Yeah.
I remember coming here as a kid. I remember actually running basketball camps with you coming up here as a kid. So I've just been here forever, it feels like, and it's just home for me. So, but home changes. It's a lot different than it used to be. I remember the old SCAD gymnasium, and I wish we could go back a lot. But no, the well is awesome, and the camp is awesome. So I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, you guys do a good job here, and I'm excited. They got the good kid from Powers Lake playing up here, Tyson. So I'm gonna have to come to a few Teton men's games.
Yeah, I think all of us from Northwest North Dakota are cheering when somebody like Tyson comes to play for us, because, oh man, he was a joy to watch. And I told him earlier in the year, you know, you're the reason I'll buy season tickets to come watch you play. So he's just a big time competitor, and you know, with all the kids from Northwest North Dakota that have come to play for us, just very thankful that he chose us.
100%. Now I've got a lot of questions for you, but Hunter, I really want you to take us back.
Okay.
Take us back to the Granora Westby days, and when did you first fall in love with the game of basketball?
Oh, well, good question. I can't say I knew exactly, but it was at a very, very young age, and I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but you know, if I had to look back, I know we started playing in the third grade, organized basketball at that time, which I think was a lot earlier than most schools. But we had a superintendent at the school, Manville Euland, and he started us young, and so we were playing organized basketball at such a young age. But even before that, I think a couple of my best friends growing up, Kelly Gunlickson and Benji Pocus, for some reason, we just fell in love with basketball. And whether it was Jordan or Dr. J or whoever it might have been, we just fell in love with it. So I think I don't know why, but at an early age, basketball just became a love and a passion of ours.
When did you know you were good?
Oh, yeah.
Was that like when did you start varsity? Was it 7th, 8th grade?
8th grade.
8th grade is when you started varsity in 8th grade.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough. Mr. Overbo pulled me up there. But, you know, it's funny. I think everybody will give me grief once in a while about, this and this and this. And, you know, to be honest, I think it's quite sad that I don't really remember the good times. I do remember the failures. And why that is, I don't know. I know there were a lot of great times, and I can remember some of them. But what sticks out to me is the times that I think I could have been so much better and, you know, maybe won a game that we shouldn't have lost, or made a play that I didn't make and I should have made. But no, it's been a good run. You know, I just can't remember what it was like when we were young, but the only thing I remember is watching people who I idolized, whether it was locally or nationally, and, you know, you'd try to emulate what they were doing and then go in the driveway and maybe practice just one move, you know, maybe it was a spin move or whatever it might be. You tried to be like Dr. J and hang in the air, or like Jordan and hang on a jump shot, whatever it might be. But I just remember that initial drive was there at a young age, and it just never really went away. I know I can't say that I practiced hours and hours on end. I don't believe I had the time to do that growing up on a farm. As you know, you just end up get pretty busy. So if we were done working at 8:30, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, I might shoot around for a quick 15, 20 minutes. But during that 15, 20 minutes, it was, you know, all out. Yeah, it wasn't just go out there and take a few shots. You were working on something to get yourselves better. And I think that I see too many kids nowadays shoot for hours and hours on end in a gym, and in the end, they really don't accomplish much. You got to really work at game speed and even shoot quicker and faster than you ever think you'll have to do so in a game. I always tell my daughter, I said, what if you had to face the best defender in the world? Do you wish you would have practiced going against the best defender in the world? Or do you wish you would just show up and think, oh my gosh, what this is going to be like? So, at a young age, I loved it. I can't say I would know when I was good, but I was blessed. God-given talent, that's for sure.
So in high school, the Overbo was your coach. What does he have? Do you remember the conversation you had when you're an 8th grade kid and he's like, hey, you're gonna start tonight?
I don't remember that. I just remember.
That's a big jump, Hunter.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I just remember that all of my teammates at that time probably just didn't have to be great people to me, but they were. There was, that I remember, never resentment. It didn't happen a lot that at that time a young kid was brought up to a varsity level team, but the teammates I played with were fantastic, and they just never made me feel like I didn't belong there. So I don't remember the conversation about why or when or if you're going to start. It just kind of showed up, and he probably didn't say anything. He was so good that way about making sure that you weren't overhyped for a game. So it probably just happened to showed up in the locker room and said, "Okay, here's who you're guarding," or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How many state championships did you compete in?
Well, just the one.
Just the one?
Yeah. We missed it a couple different times before our senior year, and those are those disappointing moments that you remember. But yeah, finally our senior year we got to the big show, as they say. But yeah, just the one time. That
was against two North Dakota great athletes in you and Jim Kleinsasser.
Yeah, we did play Carrington in the state title game, and the one thing I can say about Jim is I had never seen him before in person. You hear the stories, so that is a person that you don't realize how big a person can be. And oh my gosh, I've never seen somebody so proportionally whole from toe to the top of the head. I mean, it's just, he didn't have I would say really defined muscles. They were all just really, really big, but his body was just like something we'd never seen before. So, you go up, stand next to him, you feel like you're just a third grader compared to a senior. It was phenomenal. And on top of that, the athleticism. So he was just something that the North Dakotans didn't see a lot at that time and probably haven't seen since.
Did you have many conversations with Jim?
No. We got to know each other a little bit after that. We didn't know each other before the game, but that summer we played in the Lions All-Star game, and we got to room together. And then we both went to UND. I didn't go there right away, but he was there right away. So once I got there, we had classes together, and we'd shoot the breeze a little bit. But I can't say that I was great friends with Jim, but we shot it when we got together.
What was that state championship game like for you as a player?
Well, terrible, to be honest. No, it's
really?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, of all the regrets I have, that's the one that I just wish you could take back.
What happened?
Oh, I choked. I played terrible. Our team didn't shoot the ball real well, but I had I could have done way more personally and individually to swing a little bit more of the odds in our favor, but I didn't. I just choked. But the game was huge. I mean, I think there was 10,000 people there, and it was just an awesome environment. The best environment I've probably been in as a coach or a player, but just a lot of people, and they were very good. I will say that although I think we could compete better with them, they were a very good team. They had a lot of size and a lot of athleticism, and we probably needed to shoot the ball really, really well to keep ourselves in the game, and we just didn't on that night. So it was disappointing. I don't think it hit right away. You get done with the game and you think, no big deal. We got second. But then I remember coming home, and a couple days later, then I think the community had a little event for us and brought us into the gym and just kind of celebrated the good year that we had. But I remember getting in front of everybody, and at that age, you don't know how to publicly speak or anything like that. But they brought us up in front of the gym and handed the mic to us, and I'll never forget it because I just, I get a little emotional now, but I just ended up bawling like a little baby because I knew that it was the one chance that a small town like Grenora had a real chance to win a state title. And I think we could have, but we didn't. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But it is one of those things that you look back, and I'll remember the disappointment of that much more than any regional championship or anything else. It's just, I think that's the harsh reality of athletics. You can have all the good moments, but it's always those disappointing ones that stick with you a little bit longer.
Where was that, in Minot, or where was that one?
That was at Minot.
So it was at the
Dome, yeah.
Okay.
We lived in the Dome. You know? I mean, for years, the regional tournament was always in the Dome.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think it was all 4 years. I could be wrong, but we lived there.
Yeah.
And I know it was the last 3 years, and it was all 4. Actually, it was all 5 years that we played the regional tournament in there.
Oh, wow.
So we lived in the Minot State Dome, and in that year especially, it was just one tournament after another. We'd played there in the earlier in the season too. So it was just a long. Well, we got used to Minot. We were staying in the hotels every weekend, it seemed like. So a lot of fun.
So you finished up your senior year. Mm-hmm. Obviously, probably junior year. Is that when you started getting some college recruiting, or what was that like for you?
Yeah, I think if I look back, I remember you at that time. It was just so different. He didn't have a text message or anything like that. no social media, no email. So I remember you got a letter from a college and you didn't know who the college was. They honestly probably didn't know who you were. It was just a mass mailing of letters. But, that probably started sophomore, junior year. And until you narrowed it down and somebody actually called you on the phone and got a little relationship with you, you get a million letters. But until they call you and until they actually say, hey, we want you to be a part of our team and here's a little scholarship offer, it's just all a kind of a process for them. But, I think in the end, there was, a handful of scholarship offers, not many coming out of high school. Everybody asked me, well, why Williston? And well, one thing, I thought the world of Coach Olson, T.O. was just...
He was great.
Yeah, he's always just been a mentor. Yeah. And so I really wanted to play for him, wanted to stay close to home. And, I think I did want a chance to see where could you get another offer after high school. And so that was the real advantages I thought about junior college. North Dakota State offered me a scholarship out of high school, but I just didn't think I was quite ready. And I don't think I was. I think it was a great decision to play junior college for a couple of years, make sure I was able to play at a certain level. But yeah, just a wonderful, wonderful time here. And it all worked out in the end.
What were some of the other colleges that were looking at you?
Yeah, well, after 2 years at Williston, there were some schools that came to the table.
Villanova?
No, I don't remember them.
Don't remember.
I had a few scholarship offers at that time. In the end, it ended up, my three top choices were North Dakota State, and the University of Montana. And but I remember Florida offered a scholarship. Excuse me. Iowa State, UAB, some of those bigger schools, I can say they offered scholarships. I had two teammates that go to Texas, and Texas told me, well, we'd offer you a scholarship too. Well, I think it was just to maybe try to get the other two. But yeah, there were some good scholarship offers there, but I really couldn't see myself going that far away from home. North Dakota's always been a pride thing for me. And so I was very, very happy to have what I thought were three very good offers in North Dakota State, and Montana that were close to home, but yet played at a very, very competitive level of basketball.
What was that first year of college basketball like with Coach Olson? Was the game that much faster, or how did you adapt? Yeah,
it was. And maybe I just didn't realize it at the time, but I think if you ever go back and think about your high school days and then you compare it to your college days as a freshman and sophomore, very much. I mean, the game became above the rim. Back when we were in high school, it was a big deal if somebody was able to actually go up and dunk it. And now we had teammates that I could put that thing 2, 3, 4 feet outside the backboard and on top of the backboard, and they could go up there and put it down. So the level of athleticism just became out of this world to me as far as what we'd actually played with. But on top of that, T.O. was just, I don't know, if you don't know him, you can't really describe him. You know him. So the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. So it was a little bit of an eye-opener to me to see somebody that into winning, and would do anything to win and prepare their team. I think of an old coach in Divide County, Barry Hagan. When we grew up at that time, there were those coaches that were so fiery, and I'm sure at times people thought, "Wow, they're crazy or they're maniacs," but no, they were just so competitive and into doing whatever it took to get their team to be able to play the best at a certain time. But that's what T.O. was. He was just so entertaining and so great in practice. But man, when you showed up, you better show up, because it was almost impossible to match his competitiveness. But it was sure fun seeing somebody that you thought cared more about the game than you did as a player, because his heart and soul was in that game every single day on the sidelines, and it was just a real joy and a real eye opener for me.
Did he kind of, maybe you took a lesson from his book and that led you into coaching, or did you look up to him that much?
Oh yeah. You hit it right on the head. I did look up to him, and I was so thankful for my experience here that it was a bit of a dream of mine to be able to somewhat follow in his shoes and hopefully do what he had done as much as I could to match his level. I don't know that I ever could have coached for as long as he did or accomplished as many things as he did, but I wanted to emulate him, and sometimes it was good, being competitive and things like that, and it drove me to be successful as a coach, and sometimes it was bad. I know he gave me one real good piece of advice one time, because I was, I'll say fiery, but trying to act even more fiery, trying to be like T.O., And, he pulled me aside and he says, no matter what happens, you're yourself, Hunter. You got to be yourself. And so I think I settled down a little bit from there. I wasn't trying to be like him, but I had my own style of coaching. And I think I was competitive. I won't say that I could nearly match his competitiveness, but did a much better job later on in the years of relating to players better and not thinking that I had to be this kind of tyrant over there, just pile driving the hard work and effort that I wanted. There's ways to get it out of kids. And then early on, I didn't realize the best way to get it, but learned from him and others about how to be yourself and kind of just coach the kids rather than kind of drill sergeant them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So your time at Williston State, you did a really phenomenal job. How successful were you guys here at your time at Williston State?
Okay. Yeah. Well,
playing.
We were good for playing was we were good. We were very talented. We won the regional championship our freshman year, which was a big deal. The Tetons had never won a regional title, so that was a big win for us. We lost to Casper Community College in one of the most exciting games we've ever played in. At that time, you had to win your region, and then you played another team from a different region. Well, for us, it was always Casper, and Casper out of Wyoming had a huge, national prominence to them. They were very, very good. So they came to our gym, and I'll never forget it because on that day, we had a good fan base and we only had about 600 seats in the gym. So most of the time people were saying, I'm not going to get into the game if I'm not there early. Well, that day they were lined up from the front door all the way out to university for about an hour before the game just to try to get a ticket in.
That's awesome.
And then Coach always tells the story. When that game happened, we were down in the locker room and it was just loud as heck could be. And he remembers the walls kind of shaking. And then you come up and at that time, the locker rooms were in the basement, so you walk up those steps and you could just hear it getting louder and louder, and you walk out on that floor to warm up, and it was just an explosion. So it was probably one of the most electric atmospheres we've ever had, but we had a wild student fan base that was just wonderful to be around. And the community. I mean, they came out in droves to support us, and we got down early and made a run to tie it at halftime, and then they pulled away in the second half. So we missed the national tournament that year, but nonetheless, a great freshman year. And then the next year, we were better. We were older. We had some returners, and we had a huge addition to our team when Guy Fridley came to play for us out of Watford City. He was like the completeness of our team. We needed somebody who was just tough and ornery, and I always tell everybody, I owe my career to Guy Fridley because I could just sit there and do the fun stuff, and he did all the hard work, and he had to guard the best player. But we were good. We and actually we were 24-7 that year, and we won the regional championship again. And then we ended up going to Vincennes, Indiana, to have a chance to go to the national tournament. Well, Vincennes had a guy by the name of Sean Marion.
No.
Yeah, the Matrix.
You played against Sean Marion?
Yeah, and he was good. And it was different than what we had seen because he was 6'7" and extremely athletic. But yeah, he was a dude. I believe on that team that actually, I think all 5 of the starters might have signed Division I, and the 6th man off the bench went to Valparaiso. So they were really, really talented and it was an intimidating gym because Vincennes, Indiana is a nationally known junior college program. We walked in the first time we walked in the gym, we went over and looked at the side, and they had all these NBA jerseys hanging on the wall. I shouldn't say NBA, I think they were college jerseys. But the first one that stuck out was Bob McAdoo. The University of North Carolina, top 50 NBA player of all time. But all these Division I jerseys of players that they had sent on were on the wall.
Oh, that is intimidating.
Huge stadium, and it was a great experience. It was a fun one. But yeah, we can always say we played against Sean Marion, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we were very good that year. We missed the national tournament again, but we were close. We just didn't have quite enough horses to get us to the big dance.
What was Sean Marion in college? Was he like a 4 spot, 3 spot?
I'd say a 3. He was probably a wing guy, but yeah, had a real funky release. Remember watching him shoot?
Like a quick, yeah.
But he was just so athletic that he pretty much could do whatever he wanted to. So it was really fun.
That's awesome. Now talking a little bit about Coach Olson, who the gym here is named after. Mm-hmm. Did he play basically man-to-man, or was he more zone, or what did he have you guys doing in college? Yeah,
I think he would do anything that he thought would give them the best chance to win.
Just kind of competitively, yeah.
Yeah, but what he really adopted was, remember when UNLV was having their run, Jerry Tarkanian, and they played the amoeba defense, they called, which is more of a matchup zone, but it had a lot of aggressive trapping in it, especially when it got to either the deep wings up on top or in the corners. And he adopted that defense. And of course, that's when we got Guy Fridley. It was just a match made in heaven. I mean, Guy would just work so hard up there. And then we had such long wings. Wendell Carter was one of those Trinidad kids. He went on to play at Texas, and he was 6'8", 6'9" maybe, and just so long and athletic. And he adapted those defenses, I think, to take advantage of the people that he was bringing in here. And it was a fun style. It got the game kind of going faster than maybe we'd ever played before. And it wasn't the typical just man-to-man, slug it out every day. And we really enjoyed playing that defense for him. But that's what his trademark was at that time. And then later on, it seemed like he adopted the 1-3-1 zone. But the one thing I think I learned from T.O. is that switch defenses. Yep. You know, so many coaches stick in the same thing. It's one thing if you're Jim Boeheim at Syracuse and you could sit in a 2-3 zone, or if it's one thing if you're Bobby Knight and you just teach man-to-man principles. But at most levels, the ability to get in and out of a defense will at least make the offense kind of have to adjust or be thinking about, what's coming next. So he was great that way, and I've always respected that. And, you watch games on TV at the college level, and boy, a lot of them just kind of stick to the way they always do it. But once in a while, you'll have one that'll just change it up here and there. And you don't have to do it the whole game, but a full court press to maybe create a turnover or make them take some shot clock. All those things come into effect. And I really learned a lot from him that way.
That's music to my ears, because, I'm a big proponent of that. When I was coaching, that's exactly what adapt or die type mentality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Specifically in like Class B, if they've got a decent shooter and you can maybe chase him and just sit back and with other guys in zone, that can change a game.
Yeah, the strategies of basketball are so fascinating. Yeah. And I think to the person that doesn't know basketball, they watch the game and they think, well, that guy made it and that guy passed it and that guy dribbled it. But there's all those intricacies that come into why did he get a shot so wide open? And to relate that to a non-basketball person is sometimes hard to do. But you get it. You see the changing of defenses and how that can. And in the end, when you're coaching, you're scheming. You're trying to beat the other team. So what's the best way to do that? You don't want to get beat by their best players. So how do we limit that one? But then also, how do we take care of the other guys? So,
So you have 2 good years here. Yep. What happens to Hunterberg after that?
Yeah, I went to UND, and it was I thought a very, very easy decision. I include Montana. I went on a visit to Montana, and I liked Montana, but it still wasn't North Dakota. So I went to 2 visits, North Dakota State and North Dakota, and I went to UND, and I'm not kidding you. I fell in love with the team. Yeah. I won't say the campus. Whether you go to Fargo or UND, you're going to freeze your buns off no matter what, right? Yeah. And but the team, I had the best teammates in the world at both college institutions. So still close with almost all of them, so many of them that's why I went to UND. It was just nothing more than the players who were there. And while there, we were good, but we weren't great. We never competed for a conference championship, never made the playoffs, but we were good. And at that time, it was a different level. I think the other day somebody said, well, the NCC, which is what we played at that time, was Division II. It's basically the Summit League now at the Division I level. There's some truth to that. There's some few schools that weren't in the NCC that are in the Summit, but overall, I think the level of play was very comparable. At that time, the Division II basketball around the country was very, very good. And of course, there's been a lot of migration up from every level, the Division II to the Division I, the NAI, the Division II. So everything's changed so much, but at that time, that was a tough league. He played Friday, Saturday night, back-to-back, and it was brutal. And a lot of physicality to it. It was so much different than junior college because the people were just bigger and stronger. In some respects, maybe a little faster overall, but we saw some really, really freakish athletes at the junior college level. But once we got to the Division II level, you just had some great big guys with tremendous skills, and you had guards who were just so solid, and you played. 40 minutes. It was just good basketball. Not a lot of, chaos to it, but just solid basketball. And you better be able to play at that level and be tough. I think the one thing that I really struggled with was the back-to-backs, the Friday to Saturday. you'd get beat up on Friday. And of course, I've never been the biggest guy in the world. And I remember waking up the next morning and think, how in the heck are we going to play again? But you get used to it. It was a fun ride. And, you don't see that in the conference as much where they play Friday, Saturdays anymore.
Right.
In fact, I don't even know if anybody does it anymore. Sometimes Thursday, Saturdays, but never the Friday, Saturdays. That was a very unique part of that league, but a very, very tough part of that league.
Yeah, that sounds not fun.
It was nasty.
Yeah. What did you play at UND? Were you the 1 or the 2?
Yep.
Or you the 1?
Yeah,
Okay.
played the 1.
Okay.
Yep.
Just who was the coach there at the time?
Coach Rich Glass was the
Rich
coach
Glass,
there.
okay.
Yeah. And he'd had so much success in the early 90s. When he got there, UND had struggled a little bit. And even in his first year, they struggled. But he had a wave of talent come in that really propelled him the next 5 or 6 years. They were unbelievable. I don't know if they were ranked number 1 in the nation, but I think they were either 2 or 3 at one point. They made the Elite 8, and they just had a very, very good run. And coach was good. He was a great coach, and X's and O's. It was just so good. I thought sometimes, man, they spend so much time talking about X's and O's. Let's just get out there and roll the ball.
Yeah.
But it was so important to scheme, and then so much videotape and scouting was involved at that level. And I think at that time, the coaches knew each other so well, so you could probably figure out what they were going to do based on their last 5-6 years that they were coaching. Nowadays, the coaching carousel is just in and out,
yeah,
so nobody really knows what the other guy's going to do. But at that time, there was so much scheming involved with how to defend out-of-bounds plays or pick and rolls and things like that. But it was a good experience for me.
So then after you're done at UND, did you decide, hey, I might want to get into coaching, I'm going to go back to Williston, or what was your thought process there?
No, I didn't think I'd do anything with coaching. I thought, no, I'm going to be a banker, or a stockbroker. And I thought this is a great livelihood, and I'll make all kinds of money. And, it was weird. I was working in Williston after college, and I think about a year after I started, I ended up going to visit with the high school athletic director, Tom Christian, a great guy. And I can't remember what we were visiting with him about. I was probably trying to pitch to him, maybe he should invest some money in this or that. And I asked him jokingly, I see your women's basketball job is open. Who are you going to hire? And he said, well, would you like it? And I quickly said, well, I guess I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, I might be able to do that. And just like that, I thought about it for a couple of days, and I said, well, Tom, if you don't have anybody, I'll do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was the start. And I had an amazing bunch of kids and parents, to be very honest with you. That 1 year that I coached high school, I owe a lot to those kids. They put up with a young coach who was probably in way over his head, but very excited to be there.
Yeah.
But they really bought in. I mean, at that time I was, thinking I'm going to be like this. Well, Tom Izzo was one of them, and he ran so many different sets against zones or man. So I'm not kidding you. I think I had like 50 sets with that first group of girls.
Really?
And it was the girls' basketball team, and they remembered every single one of them. I couldn't believe it. So they drove me to just keep piling on them more and more and more. But they ate it up, and it was just a fun experience. And then right after that, I realized that I do love the college game, and I missed the athletics world a little bit, and it was timing. So right when I did that it was in the fall at that time. The next spring, the women's basketball coach here, Len Stanley, took the job in Bismarck. And so the job opened up a little bit later than you would think it would. And coach, asked, would you do it on 1 year on an interim basis? And if it's something you like or it goes well, then we can think about hiring you after that. And it went good. I was at that time just too fiery for my own good, but brought 3 of those kids that I'd coached at the high school over to play for me here at the Tetons.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they were good players. And so we had fun. And then from there, it just kind of kept going. I realized that maybe that was my path in life at that time, and I took it. And whether it was the right thing to do, I don't know, but it was the thing that I did, and it's turned out. I'm very thankful.
That's awesome. Well, listen, I know you got to get out of here at 11:50. We've got a few minutes left here, but
I can run a few extra after that. I try to give myself a little bit of buffer.
Swim lessons. This podcast is about overcoming the tough times.
Okay.
And whether it's athlete, coach, everybody's kind of got a saying. Maybe they say to themselves when their back's against the wall. What's something that Hunter Berg uses even to this day that when you're kind of up against it, what do you say to yourself to get back in the groove?
Well, I think that throughout my entire life, I didn't probably think this way as a youngster, but certainly think now, is that no matter how tough I think that I've got it, there's millions of other people who have got it a lot worse. And we've all got trials and tribulations that we go through. And raising a family, you're always so worried about your kids' health and things like that. So, and we've experienced that some in our family, but even then, sometimes you just got to realize that, hey, we've got a little plan here that we need to follow and tough things through. But I guarantee you that somebody else in this world has a heck of a lot tougher road than we've got. So, and be thankful. I know that sometimes we get, I think, really, really discombobulated as far as what's really important in life. Too often we're chasing the almighty dollar, or this, can I buy this car or whatever. And I'm pretty good that way. It's a good thing I don't like money, because I just don't seem to be able to make or save enough of it. So, but no, the things in life that are really important. My mom, she had a few sayings painted on a wall at my dad's fishing place or whatever, and I'll never forget it. But my favorite one is that, if you ever want to feel rich, just look at your life and see all the things you have that money can't buy. And I've tried to live that way. I appreciate all the things in life that I can't buy with a paycheck. I've got health, I've got friends, I've got a great family. I had a tremendous upbringing by my parents. I had, you talk about athletics, and so many times people do somewhat relate me to basketball or me to athletics, but all that was just given to me. I mean, how lucky was I to grow up on a farm at Zoll, North Dakota, and play in Grenora High School with a great bunch of teammates, with a great bunch of friends, be coached by amazing coaches my entire life, go to college and have those same teammates, those same great coaches. It's unbelievable how much luck we've had. So to look at things and on the bright side is always a very, very good thing to do. And in my case, I just can't imagine my life being better than it has been up to this point.
That's great. What a great answer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about that.
No, that was awesome. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time. I love what you've done for Williston State, and more importantly, even like helping me out when I was a youngster coming to basketball camp here. But thank you. And what's going on new here? Give a quick plug at Williston State College.
A plug for the college?
Yeah.
Well, lots, Dallas, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes you think of a campus and you think of it's growing. The things that happen behind the scenes, the public doesn't see. So the things that we've got out in front of everybody that are really exciting is a project of mine that I'm very, very near and dear to, mostly because I made a big mistake. And that's one of those things, backs against the wall. Well, I made a huge mistake way back when, about 14 years ago. We'd always played up at Offutt Stadium, but sometimes it wasn't ready in the spring, so we decided to put a baseball field down here. And we tried a few different versions, but the last one we did was Raybon Field. And when we built it, it was kind of a volunteer effort. We had all kinds of help, and we even laid the sod all by ourselves. So we built this field. But at the time, the coach told me maybe we should look at artificial turf. And I thought, well, I don't even know what the heck it was probably. But I said, how much is it going to cost? $750,000. And I said, are you kidding me? I can't raise $750,000. So now, about 14 years later, here I am trying to put turf on our baseball and softball fields. But it only costs about 3 or 4 times what it did cost back then. So I made the mistake. I did. I probably should have maybe put more meat into the idea of putting turf at that time. Williston, our community, needs this project. And we look around and we're the only big city that doesn't have turf baseball and softball fields now. It used to be us in Jamestown, but Jamestown, I believe, has got theirs completed now. So we're the last ones. Too many times our Teton baseball team, who I have more respect for than anybody I've had come across me in a long time. Our coach does a great job, and our program is just right where I've always dreamed it would be. Mm-hmm. But they deserve it. Too often we're on the road going to Watford, going to Miles City, to Glendive, to Bismarck, wherever, to go play on a surface that can be played on, whether it's turf or grass. And I see the high school in this. I see the high school in the same situation. They're traveling all the time because we don't have fields ready at time, and it's just time. We need turf in our community, so I kind of volunteered to do the fundraising for this project, and I hope I can get it done. Hopefully, December 1st, I'll be able to spread the word more so than I have up to this point. But we've already got huge community support, so it's going to happen. I just hope that the whole complex can be completed, because the turf is the one part of it that's the most expensive and the most in need. But we want better bleachers, secured fencing, restrooms, concessions, all that stuff out there. So that's a huge upgrade for our campus and our athletic department, but more importantly, an upgrade for the community. We need this. And if we don't do it all together right now, we're not going to get it done for many, many years. So that's probably number one on my hit list. But the other one is we got approved from the state legislature for a big healthcare training facility that'll go up just across the road here.
Okay.
Yeah. And so with that, we'll hopefully expand our nursing program. But the idea is to bring in 8 to 12 new academic programs that can help us train the workforce needs for our region's healthcare system, whether it's in Crosby or Tioga or Sydney or Williston or wherever it might be. So we're excited. That could bring upwards of 200 new students to campus. Everybody sees a building and thinks, wow, that's a great addition. I love new buildings too, but what's more important is the people inside them. And if we have an empty building, it doesn't do us much good. But that project's big. It's about $36.5 million.
Oh, wow.
And we got to raise about 8. So, So I don't sleep much at night. I'm nervous about these projects. So between the two of them, we'll have to come up with about $13 to $14 million to make it happen. But we're lucky. Our foundation's been blessed by some donors in the past, and we've got some money we can put to work. And our community is always so giving. I'm sure you see that up in Crosby. If something comes up, everybody chips in and helps out. And I think these are going to be the same thing. So right now, that's the immediate ones, but I'm sure there's more and more coming. It's just a fun campus.
Yeah, I like Williston State. Well, you guys did a fantastic job with the well here.
Oh, yeah.
Love playing basketball here. Love coaching here. Love games here. Fun. So thank you again. Appreciate it. And I'm going to look forward to coming to a few games and watching the Teton men and women play.
Good.
But, Thanks again for your time. And that's a wrap. Hunter Berg, everybody. Thanks, Hunter.
Thank you.